mute your microphones, please, while we are starting, because first I will make introduction, and then I will give the word to Zineb, our great speaker.
Hello, everyone. Hi, do you hear me?
Yes, Sano. Hello, Sano.
Hi.
Glad to see you.
Oh, hi, everyone. Okay.
So I see most everyone is here. Guys, thanks all of you for joining us today. Please mute your microphones for the beginning, and all of you will have a chance to speak, to present your projects, and to ask questions from Zineb. And just a short reminder, one more time, that today we will speak about startup marketing. Not typical things about startup marketing, like how to work on social media or whatever, but a very important topic, marketing that sells. Many people have misconceptions about this topic. Some of them think that marketing department or marketing people in startup teams should not be responsible for sales at all. And I know a lot of CMO, they don't take responsibility for marketing KPIs, because they say that it can't be directly connected. But that is not true, and we will prove it today. Today we have a great speaker. Some of you already know her. Others, please meet Zineb Layachi. Hi, Zineb.
Let me unmute myself. Hello. So we are live.
Yes, we are live now. Around 12 people are watching us in YouTube now, and I think their number will increase very soon. So Zineb Layachi is a very, very well-known expert in strategic marketing and revenue marketing. If you did not hear this term before, you will learn it today. Zineb worked with a lot of technological startups, helping them to grow from zero to huge numbers and successful revenues. Zineb also is co-founder of Pitch Lab, which is an initiative to help startup founders to polish their sales and investment pitches. And today we will speak with Zineb about startup marketing in the same format which we explored the last time, a week ago, with Taran Hughes, where it will be interaction. So we will not have the long webinar session where expert speaks on one topic. All of you will have a chance to ask the questions, to share your cases, your problems. Don't hesitate to give some details and ask for an advice, because it will be really priceless experience. And I know Zineb very well. She will give advice which you can implement very shortly and get fast results soon. But for the beginning, I will ask Zineb. I know that you learned a lot of things on your own experience. You also experimented with growth hacking techniques and a lot of other tactics and strategies to grow marketing that sells. And we discussed with you previously that you could share some short list of 5 tips which you learned on your hard experience and mistakes, and that you can share with startup founders so they can save their time and avoid repeating those mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Nelly, for that wonderful intro. I hope I live up to that. Just to tell you that I don't know if you were all in last week's session or not, but I watched the session, loved the format, so that was really great, and I hope that we can have that same interactive interactivity as you did last week. So looking forward to hearing about your projects and digging a bit deeper into the specific cases. So as Nelly said, I really wanted to share a few of the top learnings from the past few years. It was hard, so I started with a list of 20 things, and ideally I wanted to take it down to 3 because we remember things in 3s, right? Unfortunately, went with 5. So I think that should be okay. So I just wanted to share with you 5 things. Number 1, in case you don't know this, always use your customers' words in your copy. Okay. Those of you that have been on Pitch Slap have heard me say this before, but your customer, as you know, you'll hear many people say this, your customers are actually having conversations in their head. So you want to just join into that conversation. You don't want to just interrupt with marketing cliches and jargon and no, you want to be like a natural continuation of that conversation. How can you get those words? That'll come from obviously talking to the customer constantly, talking. Where I think mostly in a B2B, yeah, the audience, Nelly, is mostly B2B. If I'm not mistaken. So if you're on sales calls, you can listen to that. Look at the testimonials on your competitors' website. There are so many ways that you can listen to their copy. How do they refer you to others? No, and this is priceless. Okay, all right. Number 2, it has to do with positioning. So it's the idea of deliberately positioning your product or services, and I'll explain what I mean. So there's a default positioning when you launch a product or service. There's a default positioning unless it's a completely new category. But just, you don't necessarily have to go with that default positioning. If you do it deliberately, but I want you to think about it. Let me give you an example. If you're launching something similar to an email, so all your competitors are calling it an email, but it could be a chat. Why not? No, so think about it. You might go with email, that's fine, but just do it deliberately, because going with a chat, if it fits, right? If it fits your strategy and it works, it can actually differentiate you, as long as it makes sense in the customer's mind. Okay. So 3. I can't stress this one enough. Headlines. Headlines are everything. So you might think of a great strategy. You're gonna, a great sales sequence, sales cadence. You're gonna get them through the first email. You're gonna send them the first email the first day, then this next email 2 days later, and then a week later. Fantastic, you've built all this. But if they don't open that very first one with, it's your subject, then there's no reason to talk about the rest. Okay, if you have a blog post, if they don't like the headline, or they don't feel compelled to click on it, then your content will not be consumed. Let's say even they click on it in LinkedIn, for example. LinkedIn, there isn't necessarily a subject, but when you click that first line, it's the only job of that first line is to get you to read the second line. Yeah. So when you, specifically for LinkedIn, and I'm sure you've seen that many times, you've received the messages like these. You click on a message from someone you know or you don't know, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, a big paragraph. What does that, how does that make you feel? It doesn't make you want to read them, no? Right? I'm seeing a lot of, yeah. So think about that. At the end of the day, these people that visit your website, or that are on the receiving end of an email or a message, are people like you and I. So let's just put more effort and dedicate more time to the headline than you do to the rest of your, let's say, of your sales pitch, or that opening that, people that have been on Pitch Slap, we talk about the hook, or at least when you open, are people losing their attention, or are they still there? No. Let's say a sales pitch. I open with marketing sucks, unless it's done properly. That's a much more, powerful opening than starting off with a statistic. No, 4 out of 5 marketing leads don't lead to sales, right? And this is actually a real example. I pitched it to Taran, and he told me that my beginning was not powerful. No, the pitch was great, but the beginning needed work. Anyways, so Back to the list. So number 4, so ditching the MQL mindset. MQL, for those of you that don't know what it is, marketing qualified leads. Okay, and in B2B, we generally have this. Marketing is generally so marketing will get 2,000 leads, for example. Everyone's happy, you know, from an ebook download or a case study download, etc. Everyone's happy. Their cost per lead is fantastic. But how many of those are actually leading to demos, and how many of those are actually closing? Huh? And then what's your cost of acquisition overall? So what happens with that 2,000? You know, those 2,000. Why is those 2,000 marketing leads not okay? It's because the intent was wrong. No, it could have been a competitor doing benchmarking. It could have been a copywriter looking for inspiration. It could have been someone just wanting an easy, you know, just easy access to that PDF. So where's the intent? So if from the very beginning we think of intent, how can we get people with intent? That changes the game. So it's not just cost per lead. We're actually looking to improve the cost of acquisition. Okay, so this change of mindset is super important. And some call it, instead of the MQLs, instead of marketing qualified leads, they say marketing questionable leads. No, anyways, so number 5 is to stop making content that no one is going to consume. And let me explain. You're making content. Yeah. First of all, how are you getting that inspiration for that content? No, is that content coming from talking to customers, the objections, what they're worried about outside of what your product or service does? No, if you do continuously talk with your customer, you'll never ever find yourself without inspiration of things to consume. So first of all, where are you getting that? So corporate videos, for example, perfect videos, just don't do it nowadays. Yeah. And then on the other side is that you're not, whenever you put out a piece of content, you're not actually looking at it's hard, you know, there's no attribution to these pieces of content, of course, because, you know, it's very hard to see who actually ended up joining thanks to, you know, joining your list thanks to that piece of content specifically. But if you dig deep into the actual engagement, to the comments is where the gold is. All those conversations are. I spend hours every week reading comments, because that's exactly where the conversations are, and that could also help you get inspired. So that was my 5, you know, just as an intro. Thanks for hanging in there.
Thank you, Zineb. It was really useful, and I noticed while you were talking that many of those points you mentioned, I did it wrong many times.
Same here.
That's really cool when you can ask the experienced person and hear that don't do this or do this instead of that, and that is really helping a lot. I see that founders are ready to ask questions. And by the way, just to mention that, first of all, today, all of our participants are startup founders, business owners. So as far as I see, there are no CMOs here. Okay. And second, last time our webinar was around 2 hours, and we got a feedback that it is a little bit too much, even though the content is amazing. So today we will be limited to 1 hour, plus minus 5-10 minutes, depending on your questions. So I want to give a word to Anis Bey, founder of startup KPIs from France. Anis, are you here?
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Anis.
Hi, Anis Bey. Hi.
Hi. Thank you for this opportunity. I have a question about my first question about, could we market our product before it's completely ready? And what's the risk for that?
Before I even, sorry, were you done?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, go ahead.
I have the second question, but let us.
Yeah. We'll go through this one, and then if Nelly is okay with having two questions, then that's great. So thank you for being here and for your question. So before I even ask you a bit more information about your product, I would say absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. And for one reason, one specific reason, it's about risk. Risk, you minimize risk in the sense that you know how the number one reason startups fail. No, there's no need for that. So you want to actually make sure that once your product is done, you've actually built something that people need. No, I don't mean to sound cliche, but absolutely from the very beginning, you start. The typical example of an MVP, no, where you start, you want to sell a cake with an icing and the filling, etc., right? Yeah. But what do you start with? You start with a complete cupcake. No, it's a small version with the icing, a little bit of icing, the filling, etc. So it's a small cupcake. No, just to not use the typical example of, you know, you're building a transportation system. You don't start with the tire. You start with a skateboard, right? And you build up from that. Why? Because it actually, you validate that what it is that you're trying to do actually solves a need. No. So if you want to dig in more in your specific case, I'd be happy to. What challenges are you seeing? I'm happy to dig in a bit more.
And what if the customer purchases this product and don't find what he look for in this product? It's not a risk for us, or
what product are we talking about? Now let's dig in a bit more detail.
Yeah, we have products not completely developed, implemented, and if we start to market this product, we don't know if there is some clients or customers they will tell us to purchase this product. So we have a fear about that we'll be satisfied about this product or not.
Okay, which is why I'm asking for a bit more detail, because, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Depending on what you're selling, you could do, you know, the typical, and I'm not sure what product it is, but if it's a, let's say it's a SaaS, right?
It's a SaaS in education.
It's a SaaS in education. What does it do? The SaaS, what does it do for? And
it's for service. It's a service for a teacher, for institution, to provide students a platform where they can ask questions and have an answer, instant answers, automatic instant, using artificial intelligence and some kind of functionality.
Okay, and the artificial intelligence motor that you have, is it that's the one that's not done, or do you already have that?
That's the part's not yet done.
Okay, so can you validate, would it be possible to, without the finished product, come up with something similar but in a simpler form? So I'm just gonna, you know, I'm thinking out loud here. A Google Doc, right?
Yeah.
You see where I'm getting at? You use tools that are already out there to start learning about the process. So you launch a Google Doc where you have, or a Google, you know, Google Sheet, where you have all the questions and everyone has access to this. Would this be useful to start learning?
Exactly. I have already a version that can teachers and institutions can use it, where students can ask questions and the teachers can answer to those questions. But the AI model is ongoing for implementation.
Okay, so when you say market now, what you can do is start to build that list of prospects.
Yeah.
Because if your problem, and especially test your messaging. This is the greatest time to test your messaging. You know, as you know, we say with sales pitches and all sorts of messaging. If you are just behind your computer thinking about, you know, the best way to say this, it's priceless to go out there and test it. No, does this teacher, first of all, how many, you know, who's in the buying committee of a school, who's actually going to pay for this, and who's going to be the influencer? I'm guessing the teacher is going to be the influencer. So test your messaging to all the decision makers. This is your time. This is your time to do all sorts of testing and pitch all you can. If you can, you know, put 200, 250 euros in Google Ads to see, you know, what sticks. Run these sort of tests to get your messaging nailed. Don't wait until you have the product.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Zineb, thanks a lot. That you see, Anis, that's and other guys. So that's the difference between expert in strategic marketing and a traditional marketing specialist. She immediately thinks over the business side and tries to connect marketing actions with business goals. But this topic, I'm sure we will touch later. Anis, thanks a lot for your question. People watching us on YouTube, they say that they exactly wanted to ask the same question. It is relevant for majority of companies in the startup stage. When to start marketing? Great question. Right now, I want to give a mic to Sano from It's Prodigy, Italy. Sano, you are welcome.
Hi, thanks very much for introducing. Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi.
Thanks very much for the opportunity. And I have some couple of questions. I will ask them one after well, immediately, then you get your time to answer. So my first question is this. A lot of time when we go to learn marketing, because, you know, startups need to learn marketing, you have two options. You have already the marketing manager, or you go to the consulting marketing manager, or you know, you buy the service. Okay. But the hardest part is that when you don't have customer, you don't have history, you don't have statistics, your product, your service, your idea, and how the market will answer this kind of your products and your startups, you need to make a test. You need to start to build your marketing strategy, you know, because you need to develop it. Mostly let me say 99% of cases, okay, the consulting company will always answer like, okay, let's choose the right geographic area, or let's choose the right target. Let's imagine a target and go on, and we do this marketing following them, you know. So for you, what is the best strategy in case we are a fresh new startup where we don't have any history, when we don't have any statistic, so we can reduce our cost in investment, okay, in the marketing, same time create our really strategy of marketing, you know, so we can after that develop our marketing based on our historical statistical history with our first customers, you know, get our first customer, etc. So how we build all the process, the first step, I mean. Okay, so this is my first question.
Okay, let's Sano, if I may, I'm just gonna, if I may, sorry, Sano, just 1 second. If I, hello? I think it's breaking up. Is it just me, or is it?
Yeah, something is going on with Sano internet connection. So Sano, sorry, I had to mute you for the second question because it was just noise and breaking up.
Yeah.
And Zineb will answer your first question.
And then just because it was breaking up, Sano, so I just want to make sure I understood the first question. But first of all, I just want to know real quick what space you're in. What are you trying to solve? Just I like to talk about if and when I can about more actionable things. I think you need to unmute
okay.
him.
Do you hear me
Yeah,
now?
Yeah.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. My question is more a generic question, not based on our market directly.
The space you're in.
B2B. Let's call it B2B.
Okay. All right.
Business
so
to business.
Your question is how to get started. No?
Yes.
That is the question. Perfect. It's a very generic question because it all depends. To give you more actionable advice, it's always useful to know the exact case. No, but I'll see if I can give you a not so generic answer, and that hopefully you'll like, because sometimes I say things that you don't like. No. So number one is, who are you selling to? So that's where you start. Who are you selling to? Because that will take you to the communities, that will take you to the channel, that will take you to that's the first step. That will take you to also the formats of how you're gonna market. That's Sano. Did we lose Sano? I knew he wouldn't like my answer. There he is.
I'm sorry. Do you have still a problem hearing me? There is noise, something, or now the voice is clear?
This is much better.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just switch at my Wi-Fi. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So as I was saying, I don't know if you heard this, but step number one is your audience. Who is it? Okay. Who is your audience, where?
Let's call it. Okay, we can take small business companies. So, okay, so we define our audience. Okay, this clear. Okay.
That's clear. That will take you automatically to the communities, which channels they're on, etc. So that's how you start. But your very first step is to start that small test to make sure that what you're first of all, you've identified a problem, right? Let's just go a step back. You've identified a problem. Now you need to run and to do all the customer development. So you run a few interviews to understand if that problem is a burning one. So they're willing to do something about it, or they're just like, nah, no, I just, I use Google Sheets for that and I'm fine. No. So understand if it's a burning one, understand how many people have that same problem, because if you're ever going to ask for investment at some point, they want
okay, my question is, all these activities, is made before I develop the product. Okay.
Of course.
Okay, so let's assume I am almost there to launching my product. Okay, and already defined that my target is, let me say, small business companies. Okay, with, I don't know, 3 million and high of revenue. So I already defined more or less my target, but there is different steps between. I mean, we can let me say, we can make like a standard classic marketing where we put some text, we put some, and see how people answer, and etc. But in my opinion, I don't know. I'm asking if there is any other option than doing this. Like, let me call it classic strategy. Let's call it classic strategy. But I want to understand if there is any other option than this.
But it's very specific to that business, and why I'm insisting on being specific on being specific with a case, because there are certain businesses where you can use channels that are very strong for referral, for example, right? So let's say you're doing in Annie's case, right? Let's say he finds, he gains access to a community of teachers, a very close community of teachers, right?
Okay.
Imagine if you have 3 teachers recommended to the others. What's the effect there? Huh? They'll each go to their school.
Okay, but first you need to find the first 3 teachers, right?
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
Okay,
I'll give you
more detail about us. So you get more. We do a fintech services for small business companies where we support them to stand up the COVID impact and get loans from the banks, and we make for them financial consulting services, manager services, and technology services, so we can support them in all the whole process to stand up and return with their revenue. Okay, this is our service. Okay. So it's a very innovative solution where it's very hard just to explain, okay, to someone. Okay, when we do ours, we are now doing a lot of marketing strategy, but we are facing a lot of misunderstanding, but also we are not having a right statistical or statistics and historical to understand where we are doing wrong and where we are doing right. Okay, so from this is coming my question.
Okay, absolutely. So thank you for being a bit more specific there. I know that you not only have, built a product, so your service is up and running, right? I'm assuming. Yes. But your messaging is not resonating. Okay, and something real quick that you can do is, the channels, think of the channels that are most relevant to you, okay? So you need to validate your messaging. Take, 250 euros, 500 euros, put them in Google Ads. It's very easy said because I'm not, we don't have time to get into the details, but see how people react to that. First of all, to see from what you've explained, it was a very complex explanation. I did not get what you did. So that would be great to find, those 5, 7, 8 words that'll click with people. Okay. Then after that, once you're done with that, I don't know if you're familiar with outreach email campaigns, if you've done any of these. Okay, so get your hands on 100, 150, 200 emails that are the most the closest to your ICP, so your ideal client profile. Okay, and send out an outreach campaign. Okay, and then there you'll know, this is just the first test. You'll know, are people asking you for more information? Are people opening your email? Or that goes to your subject, of course, which you would need to test out separately. And of course, you're the founder, Sano?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're on all the sales calls, you're pitching.
Yeah, basically, yes. In this moment, yes, I'm the first person that directly make the first contact with the customer, where I explain to him all the project and understand his background, what he wants, etc.
Yeah, so I think
right now I'm the first person in charge.
Okay, so I think, Sano, from what you've explained to me, there's a messaging. I wouldn't say your messaging is off. I think there's an opportunity to improve, to work on your messaging, because maybe you're offering so many different things and you need focus. You need to focus on right now, what is the one thing that is hurting them and how much does it hurt? No? So we do this, but hey, by the way, here are the other benefits, but we do this, and that'll help you in your pitch. You'll come off real strong and on point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I will ask second. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sana, just short reminder. If you finished with the first question, I know that you have few of them, but let's do it step by step and give the word to other founders who are at least in Zoom, and then we will come back to your questions, I promise. And guys who are watching us in YouTube now, I see that we have, my God, around 10 questions right now from YouTube. We will answer them if we have time a bit later, because priorities are the questions from those startup founders who are in a Zoom session right now. Thank you for understanding. Anyway, we will forward all the remaining questions to Zineb so that she can read them and answer them in YouTube chat later. And of course, as usually, we will send you Zineb LinkedIn profile and contact details, if she allows, also the email in the Pro group in Telegram, so that you will be able to connect with her and ask questions which you will have later. And right now I want to give a mic to who is the next? Alex Maitland from Gigapipe from Spain. Alex, your turn.
Hi guys, hi Zineb. I'll try and get this short. For For me, I suppose mostly on headlines, actually. I mean, totally agree. Obviously, you can do the most beautiful content in the world, but no one's opening your emails, and what's the point? When specifically for sort of B2B, what message when it comes to sort of headlines has been most successful for you? Is it focusing more on the client's problems, so hitting a pain point, or more your solution to that problem? Because obviously you don't want to try and pitch a sale in a headline. What, in your experience, what's been the most effective? Is it focusing on those pressure points, or offering up a solution rather than saying I understand the problem?
Who are you selling to?
So
what type of person are you?
So like CTOs, like these are really like in charge of big sort of sets of data, and quite large companies who are ideally spending quite a lot of money on analyzing stuff at the moment. And this is ideally not just going to save money, but it will outperform what they've got as well. So it's kind of like a unicorn solution, but obviously you've got to make them believe it enough to show them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like with any other sale, no, to any other type of buyer. Why am I asking you this? Because there is no right or wrong, or this is, it depends solely on your business. You got to think of the context too. You got to think of, here we have two from Gigapipe, right? Alistair, let's just take an example. You send one email, Alistair sends the same email. I don't think you'll get the same open rate because the context is completely different, right? So there's a name, maybe the photo is different, so the context is completely different. Why did I ask you specifically who you're emailing? Because let's say you were emailing CMOs or marketers. Marketers are, they have an eye for these things. We're just tired of the same, you've got a pain, and no, this is so how can you find out what a typical CTO's inbox looks like? How can you figure that out with your first contact? Is there some sort of a person that's really close that would be willing to just take a screenshot or just show you their inbox? Because it's an attention game at the end. Like you said, you need someone to actually stop and click to open, right? So how can you get someone to pay attention to you? That said, there's only one way to find out, which is to test. Since your context is completely different than Sano's context or Annie's base context, then test. As in with every outreach campaign, the first thing that you have to do is send 30 emails with one subject and 30 with the other, and see which one gets the highest open rate. That's the first step, no?
Yeah.
And within each group of problem-based, solution-based, you can have different variations of that. Yeah, but yeah. Just and this is and thank you for the question, because just as a quick reminder to everyone that this idea that us, we're selling our products and services, sometimes, we start in our messaging, we say, your house is burning and I'm here to save you, No, my house is quite fine, it could be improved, sure, no, but you're not my savior, so this whole problem, unless you've got it nailed to the, and this came up last week in your session with Taran, is that unless you've got it nailed to the dime, the actual problem, you'll just be another email in their inbox, yeah. But and then if you look at psychology, of course, we're more prone to do something about it when we're, there's a fear of loss than an opportunity to gain something, right? So if I tell you you're going to lose 100 euros versus you might win 100 euros, I think the one that'll make you more motivated is the fear of losing 100 euros, right?
Sure. Yeah, the main thing is the potential gain is so large in the situation. It's a bit of a disruptive sort of technology that we're doing. So it's not like people aren't going to lose money. They're already doing this, and they're probably making a lot of money off what they're doing already. The idea is it could be a lot more. So it's much more the carrot than the stick. It's kind of getting that right balance. But yeah, that was really helpful.
Yeah, and Alex, use this to your advantage. I was just listening to you say that, this last little piece of 3-4 seconds, and And this came up with a conversation with Nelly the other day. You know, if it's hard to believe, then use that to your advantage. Just say it's hard to believe, you know, and why not include a video in the first email of you talking about your experience? You know, you're very well spoken, and why not try that?
Perfect. Yeah. Cheers.
All right.
Yeah, that's great advice. I guess majority of people participating here, very soon their followers will see a lot of video content. By the way, many founders, they hesitate to make videos because not all of us public. And for me personally, it was very, very scaring first time to go public. I was stressed a week after, but it really works a lot because the more you communicate, unpersonalized brands are already the last century. The modern companies should be as personal as possible because people want to buy from people and to trust people and not just brands. So that is what Zineb taught me, and I truly believe that in this. I want to give mic right now to another founder from India, Samira, the founder of Liveroom.
Liveroom. Hi, Samira.
Hi, my name is Samira, and yeah, so I will give you a brief introduction about what we do, because before answering the questions, that will clarify lots of things. And what we do is like so for example, like augmented reality in e-commerce is booming. For example, people are talking about augmented reality, using augmented reality technology in online sales as well as e-commerce. But the main problem is that for augmented reality, you have to have 3D models of each and every product you sell. The main problem is like if you do the 3D content creation manually, you'd have to spend a lots of time creating this. Let's say like so if you want to create a 3D model of a furniture item, it will take 1 day. So if you have 1,000 SKUs, it will probably take 1,000 days to just make the 3D models of your entire portfolio. But then you have the option of 3D scanning, but the 3D scanners are very expensive. So what we are doing is like we are creating an AI platform where like you can take a 1 minute or like a 30-second video of your product and walk around it and upload it to our Ogmo Cloud, and the Ogmo Cloud will create the 3D model, exact copy of 3D model of your product, and it will automatically, the 3D model will be automatically linked with your e-commerce website. So whenever a potential customer goes to your website, they can experience that product in augmented reality, like without having any trouble. So that's the problem that we are solving. And then my main first question is like, so we are in B2B space, not B2C space, because like our target market is online e-commerce vendors. So then my first question is, how do we distinguish between B2C like when we are targeting, what's the difference between B2B and B2C? So what are the key things that we should do when targeting B2B customers? Because like when we like let's say like for an e-commerce vendor, sometimes most of the time that's a company. So how can we approach them like in a B2B scenario?
Thank you for your question. Just to make sure I understood your question correctly, so you're selling to businesses, of course, that sell to end users, right? Yeah. And yes. So your question is how to market to these. It's basically B2B, no? How to market to them?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Where are you at? Are you this is very early stage, or you're already you already have some traction?
So we have at the moment 4 customers, and we have like scanned over 1,000 3D models in the past few months. and so these are like initial customers, but but the thing is like so this is like a very new market. Even some of the e-commerce vendors, they do not know about such a thing exists. So that's one of the problems that we are having as well.
That was one of the things I saw. First of all, part of my background, and I'm still on the board of an augmented reality company. So, but that was years ago when we could not scan images without an app. So we needed apps. Today you don't need apps anymore, right, Samia? So
yeah, exactly.
So this is, you know, I wish I had started with augmented reality today. So lucky you. So the first thing that came to mind when I was listening to you explain what you did was, you know, let's talk about the end users. No one sits there and says, I need augmented reality. No, they probably say something like, you know, I wanna see this product, or I wanna see a 360 view. No, I'm guessing which is what you offer. Now, your job here is, if you're gonna spend your time convincing those online vendors to first implement augmented reality, right? Right, offer this type of extra feature, you know, you're facilitating the buying journey for your customers. So first of all, implement, and which is not with you, right? It's not the live room, right?
Yeah.
They have to first implement, find an augmented reality solution, and then the SKUs will be provided by you. Is that correct? Or do you offer everything, like a full?
We offer the entire solution. So
the entire solution. Okay. Okay, great. So that's fine. So your job is to convince, and I think in your case, the best way to convince is by showing the 4 customers that you have, drill deep to get as much info as you can. So how long did it take them to scan, to create, you know, 10 SKUs or 1,000 SKUs? How long did it take? In 2 minutes, you can do that. So start digging deep into these 4, because that'll help you sell the others. They want to know that it won't mess up their work process. So live room comes in, it's easy peasy, no? And ultimately, what is the end result? How will this impact their revenue? If you can dig deep in these 4 customers that you have to find what the result is in sales, that'll help you a lot more. Case studies, yeah, I think show them that, you know, the typical, they're an A, no augmented reality, right? And you're trying to show them this B scenario where this buying enablement with AR, how does it affect your conversion rates at the end? No?
Yeah, exactly.
And you're the one who's going to connect them. Yeah?
Yes, understood.
So if you can tie that, yeah, definitely, I think it would be much easier for me. If not, it'll just be, as a marketer, it'll just be, oh no, another tool that I have to implement, and it's not. But if you tell me that this is going to take my conversion rate from 3 or 4 to 8 or 10, wow. No? And it's easy to implement. It won't take up that much of my time, etc. Yeah. So there you go. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Actually, you answered my both questions. Thank you very much.
Fantastic then.
Thank you, Samira. Thank you, Zineb. And the next one to ask question is the founder of BlockCube company, Rama Rao. And Rama, before you're asking, I ask all of you guys, please kindly, when you start asking question, briefly introduce your company and your main product or business model to Zineb, because, okay, I know you all, and I'm trying here in Zoom to send your startup profiles and descriptions, but I guess, first of all, Zineb doesn't have time to read it all. And second, it would be much more efficient if you give her a brief hint of what you are doing, because marketing depends also on this. Rama, please go on.
And Nelly, sorry, just to jump in and say something real quick. It's always an opportunity to pitch, no? So it's always nice to,
Absolutely.
even if even if Rama and Alex, I've seen you on Pitch Slap, it's always nice to see how you explain your business. Days later, weeks
guys.
later.
Around 15 to 20 people are watching us live now on YouTube, and usually our live streams, when they are published, they collect from 200 to 500 and more views. So it can be your potential client, potential partner, potential investor. Don't waste any chance to introduce your company. Come on, Rama.
Thank you, Nelly, for the re-emphasizing. Zineb, firstly, thanks very much, and appreciate all the insights you're giving, just like the last time with Taryn. Learning a lot through all these sessions.
My pleasure. I'm glad. Glad to hear.
Totally. And just to refresh people's minds and building on it, BlockQ basically is an innovative clinical trial management software system that helps to accelerate clinical trials for the benefit of patients and customers like pharma companies to cut costs. And you've seen that happening in the current COVID scenario, where we're all very frustrated with the time it's taking to get vaccines to the market, drugs to the market. We believe we are innovative because we came up with all this 2.5 years back, or actually 3 years back. And now we've done a beta test where we must have cut the time for a diabetes study by half at least, if not 2/3 doing it. Now with any system like ours, we've got basically 3 pillars of our marketing strategy. One is the B2B space, and I've pivoted away from going to large customers because I realized that the risk-averse nature of the customers makes it a long process. So we're going to the mid-sized biotech pharma companies. And then we've got also an indirect channel where we want to talk to resellers of our systems. And third is a low-cost option for socially important places like Susan Conant's Breast Cancer Foundation or WHO or stuff like that. So the marketing challenges that I have are basically about 4, and I'm struggling. And I wonder whether you could sort of give me some guidance. And they're all interrelated. So technically, you can see it as one question with 4 subparts, And the customer is risk averse. The customer is a complex decision maker because, in a B2B space, they got multiple influences, as part to say. So one challenge that I do have is trying to read the room, but that's a separate communication challenge. But what I'm trying to understand is the role of event marketing versus trade advertising versus platform marketing per se, or the role and benefits of an AWS marketing platform versus an online marketing platform. And then given this risk-averse nature of people, how do you mesh thought leader strategies versus focus group strategies to genericize? And it goes back a little to, I think it was, I forget, Alex's question, really in terms of headlining the emails with the solutions versus pain points. But, I would imagine then a focus group might be, so I'm a little confused about how to choose all this and prioritize it, given the early stage. We are pre-revenue, no customers, but are hustling like heck to make that happen, given that we think there's a wonderful opportunity, sadly so, but a wonderful opportunity for people to redo their system. Now, I've just come off from a meeting with the chief scientific officer of another patient advocacy group, and she's pretty thrilled what we are doing. So I know we've got the meat in our system for people. I've spoken fast, but I hope you have understood what I was requesting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just before digging into your actual question, just wondering, this last meeting that you had, you saw it as there's a positive outcome. If you don't mind me asking.
No problem.
How did you decide that there was a positive outcome? What made you?
Great point. So there were basically 3 parameters that I keep asking, and I ask for feedback at each meeting. What do you think of our system? Forget about whether you'll buy it or not, but what do you think? And she said that this is basically a pretty impressive system. It does a lot of things together, and today's world of remote trials, this is really something that's needed. Yeah. Then she also couched it with what she can't do, and what I see with that is that makes it so purposeful. At least I know what she cannot do. The third parameter for me is I asked for help. She's the chief scientific officer of a patient advocacy organization. And she said she would introduce me to 2 pharma companies, small biotech companies, that are building products for that disease area. So that's how I feel that the discussion went, quote unquote, well.
Yeah. Great. The intro. When you finish, even when you're doing your first interviews during the customer discovery phase, when at the end, people say, yeah, great. When you build it, call me. No, that's, they're brushing you off totally. But if you ask them for either a letter and, an LOI or who do you think I should be talking to, and they actually make the intro, then I think, there's you've built enough trust for them to put their neck on the line, and connect you. Okay, 2 questions for you. One is, what does good look like for you? So in the sense that, in 6 months, what?
Very simple. So, I'll answer you. Yeah. So I keep saying it's my 5-3-5 strategy: 5 customers, 3 million sales, 5 million raise, 2021.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. I love that. You see how it's easy? You're gonna be remembered. 5-3-5 2021.
Yeah. I was sad to say it was my 2020 strategy, but COVID threw it out.
Yeah, we've all had to push things to the next year, right? But not to say, not to throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? So this year is going to be a lot about learning how to better approach. People are much more open to connect and learn new things. So I think that you're going to speed up that process, definitely. So the other question is, in terms of, I mean, I've seen you. You seem to be pretty active, especially in your world. I don't think I've ever worked in the pharma industry. So each industry is very similar in that sense. You are pretty active, no, in this space. Yeah.
Not as active as I'd like to be. Not as active, because the pharma industry is also going through a transition. They're becoming more consumer focused, especially in the US, where you have so much DTC advertising that takes place, and patients basically determine the choice of medication also, But, both, like Nelly said earlier on, I tend to be a very reticent, non-wanting to put my face in public kind of a person. But I've learned to pivot away from that, and I'm slowly building that process.
Okay. Connected. That's great that you're slowly trying to change that mindset, because there's only one way to get better, and especially when you're selling something that's, you're not selling a pair of shoes, right?
Right.
So you need to build that trust that I believe you spoke about last week, which is you need to build that trust. I remember Taran asking someone, can you lend me 50,000? No. The answer is no, because I don't know you. I don't trust you. So you're building that trust. So there's a great way for that in your space. I like your space, especially because it's niche, quote unquote, right? So it's niche. And
totally.
When I say niche, I don't mean small.
No, I know. Okay? I know what you mean.
It's niche, which means that you, with the whole old game, new game mindset, you have a lot to talk about. So let's say you just connect with people in the space and just offer to talk about what you think is wrong with the way things are being done today, and just talk. Come up with a half an hour nice little chat, and then an ask me anything session after that. and just openly share your information in the relevant forums. I think that for now, it's going to be one of the best ways for you to put yourself out there.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, I did a podcast. That was the first. I've never done this, and I'm trying to move to Medium. But I'm still very, like Nelly, I'm actually an introvert per se. So I need to figure out what to do. But I do still struggle with, what choice of marketing tools I need to do to take the message across. So one is the messaging, second is the communication strategy, third is the targeting, fourth is the tool that kind of takes it across. And I struggle, should it be event marketing? Should it be an online platform? Should it be thought leader driven? All those sort of things. What would you suggest? And that was the gist of what I was trying to figure out in terms of marketing bridge.
Yeah, in terms of thought leadership, of course. So I don't remember looking at your LinkedIn profile. Thought leadership for sure. So you have, a lot to share. So just share it and start connecting with people in this space. And in terms of specific tools, of course, I don't know where you're at exactly, but you have tools like, let's say, Duck Soup, for example, that'll help you automate. So connect to, let's say, you have, this one works best for me, right? Let's say you find someone in your space that has that has posted and has 600 likes, let's say, right? On that post. And you think that is very relevant to what you're doing. I'm just giving you an example, right? So you can come up with a message that you can send with a connection request automatically to those 600.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's also a way that you can grow using some sort of automated tool to grow your business in a more context-driven manner. That same tool, what you can do is use LinkedIn, the filter, and say, okay, a marketer, pharma, or CFO, or whatever it is, and then in the US, in the US it's too big. You have to be a bit more specific, but let's say Germany, Berlin, and then I'll send all of these the same message with a connection request. If that's what you're trying to grow. As long as I recommend testing different things, especially at the beginning. But I think that the day that you find your message in terms of, what I'm here to tell the world how, the clinical trials, the way they've been done until now, needs to
broken.
be changed. It's broken. And when I hear that, I want to see Rama, no?
Got it.
Because
block you.
He's block you. Right, but first it's Rama. It's Rama. I see Rama is the face of this broken clinical trial, and even end users could come on board with this, because at the end of the day, we're the ones who get the most out of, the most because in pharma, there's a huge millions of dollars. But anyways, I would recommend definitely just doing thought leadership and trying to go on these, getting invited to podcasts, connecting, being where those conversations are taking place.
Got it. So then I'm on the right track. Thanks so much. I'm at the InnMind, for example. Nelly chose us. So thank you. Appreciate it.
No, great. Rama, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Zineb. And we will send you, after this session, all the links Zineb will recommend, all the tools or books or whatever. We will add it to the description and send you definitely. And by the way, Rama, you told you were hesitating to be public, but people in YouTube write that Rama is a very charming guy. So great job. No sense to hesitate. One of the founders had to leave us because he has meeting with client Diego from NU from Argentina, but he left a question which I, from your allowance, will ask on his behalf. Clients are priority number one, so it's okay, he left. how do you communicate a new service that changes the way people traditionally solve that need without being afraid to try it just because it's different? I think he means here that all of startups here actually make something new, which substitutes or changes completely the old solutions, and how to use marketing to empower potential customers to try your product and not the existing trustful product they use already.
Okay, so well, before completely switching, at least try yours while they're using the other one. No, I'm guessing. Okay. All right. So thank you, Nelly. Thank you, Diego, for the question. I think the first step here is to focus on the alternatives, what they're using today, and the other alternatives. Now, I'm not talking about competition. I'm talking about alternatives. Okay. If you can figure out what these are, you can see, going back to the positioning I mentioned at the very beginning, how that is different from what they're actually using today. Is it more expensive? Is it faster? Is it cheaper? Is it no? Is how different is it? If you make it clear the value to them, it should be a no-brainer, at least to test it, because if it's testing, it's a free trial, there's very low risk, and it should be a no-brainer to get people on board to test it. So without specifics, I think that's what I can that's what I can say.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Zineb. And one more question from the founder, who should have been here with us in Zoom, but could not join, Donatas Jonikers. He was asking, any tips how to get inspiration for headlines if there are no direct alternatives or competitors on the market?
Okay, so I'm gonna thank you, Jonathan, right? Yeah, you said his name was, so thank you, Jonathan, for this question. And Jonathan, okay, so thank you for this, because it'll help me bring up talk about something very specific that I think is super important. So headlines don't come from your competitors. Headlines come from knowing your market, your customers, because at the end of the day, the ones that are going to click on this are your ideal client, your prospects, etc. So sure, you can look at your competition, because you need to know what sort of jargon is being used, what language, what tones, because that'll help you also be able to differentiate yourself. But what you need to really focus on is that number one, that 5 things that I shared. The first one is use your customers' own words in your copy. And I mentioned that conversation, that Dave Gerhardt, mentioned in one of his posts, that the customer is already having a conversation in their head. What you want to do is just come in beautifully into this conversation. You don't want to interrupt with cliches and marketing jargons, like sounding like a robot. No? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Zineb. Actually, avoiding cliches is the big, I want to put the big bold font on this advice, because I see so many marketing cliches in startup pitch decks, which we receive. And, sometimes you read the slide by slide and you still have no clue what you really do, guys, and what is the real value of your product, because it is described like, okay, I don't remember right now exact phrases, but just stamps and stamps and stamps, marketing stamps, like disruptive, game-changing, etc. So yeah, that's a great advice. Guys, right now we already over 1 hour, and I want to suggest the following. If you have some important questions you want to ask today and now, please go on. If you have more than one question and you really want to follow up. We agreed with Zineb that we can repeat this experience in 1 month, for example, in order not to make it too longer. So what do you prefer? Hey, we are democratic. You can say something or write in chat.
If we do repeat in a month, it would be great if each one could tell me, you know, what they're gonna work on, and then for the next month, you know.
I personally prefer 2 sessions, you know, because and then, like I said, once we take a theme, and whether it is like Alex's thing, like communicating with the headlines and just revolve around it, or you know, major social media platform that you should be aware of for this stage of your company, or bring it together, or look at a customer profile. Let's say, okay, here is your risk averse customer. How do we get to early adopters here to influence the trajectory of growth, something of that nature, you know. And so we can also theme our stuff, and then we can still send you questions with due respect, that if you have the time, you can say, yeah, this makes sense to bring it in or not bring it in. And maybe Nelly, we can send it to you, do some homework before and send it before to just help the conversation, you know. That's my 2 cents.
I like this idea, actually. Zineb, what do you think? I think that if we require to do some homework and check the results of the next session, maybe someone will consider it as too tough, but it will be definitely efficient for your businesses.
Yeah, I think so too. But hey, you know, this is meant to be, you know, a place where you can listen to other experiences, take what sticks and test it over the next month. Maybe out of all this session, there's one thing that's stuck. I'm really hoping it's my tip number 1, which is use your customer's copy, customer's words in your copy. But then again, you know, yeah, I mean, we could do this again in a month, unless, you know, there are other questions that, or I could just share with you a couple of other things, unless there are other questions.
So I would suggest then to ask a few questions from YouTube now, and we have a user, Makiura, who is asking quite also relevant question for many of founders here. If SaaS platform has a chicken and egg problem, which marketing strategy would you advise?
If SaaS
platform has a chicken and egg problem.
Okay, so you can't get users. What exactly is the chicken and egg here?
I think that Makiura may be thought over SaaS plus marketplaces, where you have different segments of users, and without one, it is not yet a complete product for others.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If it's more of a marketplace, then the supply, work on the supply side first. I don't have a specific example there, but just if you think of Airbnb, so before they started bringing in users, they had to make sure that there were houses available, because then you invest in bringing users, they come in there and they don't see anything, and then they think that, you know, there's a disconnect between what they thought they would see and what they're actually seeing. So definitely on the supply side, focus on that first.
Okay, perfect. And the last question from YouTube, we have much more questions, but I will send it to you later, Zineb, to answer. So what are the top 3 marketing channels for B2B2C?
Okay, top 3 marketing channels. So I guess in that case, if it's obviously it's a B that's gonna buy from you, then you know, for LinkedIn, I recommend LinkedIn for everybody. So that's number 1. If you're gonna be reaching B and C's in this sense, I think Facebook Facebook and Instagram, we tend to think that it's mainly for B2C, but it's great for generating, for running ad campaigns for the awareness stage. So it's much cheaper than LinkedIn, for example, LinkedIn ads. LinkedIn ads are great for, of course, higher ticket sales when you're higher deal sizes, but also for a much more intent-driven later stages, okay, in the funnel. Yeah, so definitely I would choose that, and then the other one, depending on your industry, in that you can pinpoint it by asking your ICP, no, where can I find more of you, or where do you all hang out, or what's the best way. It could be Instagram, which we've already included, but it could be some sort of Slack group, for example, specific Slack group, Telegram channel, where they're all there. So, but going back to the beginning of the question, don't make every channel count. So first of all, if you look at your competitors, what are they doing? If you see they're in 4 channels, that doesn't mean that you have to be in 4 channels. Ask yourself, how much manpower do I have in my team? No, and which are the most important channels for my business? No, and of course, LinkedIn. I recommend LinkedIn, whichever way you go. But which secondary channel? Yeah, ask yourself that.
Yeah, thank you, Zineb, a lot. And by the way, to prove this, I want to share the case without naming a company. We have a company on InnMind platform, a startup who grew to 2.5 million revenues during half a year, only working on LinkedIn marketing and for free. So not doing any paid campaigns or anything else. They were reaching out to their potential leads and then converted customers through LinkedIn connections and also content, relevant industrial content that they produced. And that brought them 2.5 million revenues during 6 months or first 6 months of operations. Of course, they have big checks because they have B2B product for industrial corporate customers. But this is a beautiful case to showcase, just to prove what just Zineb said about LinkedIn. It can be very, very useful and efficient to grow your sales.
Awesome, great example.
Okay, so then I suggest to finish for today because we had a lot of questions and Zineb should be already tired. We promised not to make more than 1 hour and a half. Guys, one more time, you will have all the contact details. If you have any questions to Zineb, either send it to us and we will forward to her, or even better, contact her directly in LinkedIn or via email and establish connection. Just start asking questions. And one more point I don't want you to forget, speaking about partnership marketing. We just touched this point today in the morning with some of the partners, and I noticed that a lot of startups, even having access to the networking, even being together in one chat or one group, InnMind Pro group, for example, you have complementing products. One of you, for example, does e-commerce, and another one e-commerce platforms, another one does e-commerce applications for augmented reality. You always forget to get in touch between each other, not only with experts on investors or corporate clients, but also this is a great way to do free marketing, cross-marketing, promoting products or joint products together. Don't forget about that. And if you want to talk more in details about that, we can talk in a month with Zineb again. But don't forget about partnership marketing. Due to the statistics, majority of companies just don't think it over.
And may I just jump in, Nelly? Like, this is super great point, because even I'm a startup mentor for much earlier stages. No, but they tend to forget to talk to one another. You know, you've got these entrepreneurs, they're all building their startups, and they forget that, you know, they're on the other table could be the answer to what they're looking for. And just to give you an example, let's say if you know that I'm just making this up, okay? Anis Bey and Samira are both targeting the same type of customer. Let's just say for completely different products. You can share how you identify that. No, let's say, for example, Anis Bey, you say, I know that the schools that use HubSpot, okay? What's that one thing that connects people, connects your ICP? If they all use HubSpot, then how do I find a list of customers, a list of companies that use HubSpot? No, you know, built with, for example, builtwith.com. I don't know if you know this the website, but it'll tell you. It'll give you a list of companies that are built with a specific technology. So let's say you put WordPress or Salesforce or whatever, you can have a list of companies. Now, I'm sorry, I'm rambling, no, but you take that list, you download that list with, you know, you've got the domains, you run it through, you know, a tool to get the emails. There are a whole bunch, like Find That Lead, for example. This is, you know, not a sponsored message. Get their emails, put them in an outreach campaign, etc. So finding, how am I going to find my customer? No, but how can I find not one here, one there, one? What's the one thing that I can use to find that customer? It's like when you're doing a search on LinkedIn. What's that one keyword that I can put there that'll give me results? No. Sorry about that, Nelly. I just wanted to.
No, I love it a lot, Zineb. I love the fact that indeed, after this conversation, those who are not lazy and those who will rewatch it and take the notes, they can really implement something already tomorrow or change their marketing campaigns in order to get fast results. Guys, right now we really have to finish. So the cherry on the cake is that those of you who are the residents of the Silicon Valley Startup Bootcamp in Catalonia this October, you will have 5 days with Zineb, maybe not 5, but few days with Zineb as a mentor and a partner of the bootcamp. So she will be presented at the event. She will give you advice. She will meet with you in person, answer your question, etc. So those of you who will be there, you will meet each other not only online, but also offline and get more time for these conversations. Thank you. All of you for joining us today, and thank you, Zineb, for bringing your brains and your experience on the table. It was really priceless. Thanks a lot, and see you once or a little bit later for the next session.
Absolutely, thank you so much, and thanks to everyone for hanging in there and asking all your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Implement and grow your sales.
Thank you very much.
Ciao.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Nelly. Thanks again, Nelly. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.